Today, I want to talk about Mark Cuban and the national anthem and apathy in America. If none of those topics interest you, peace out. You know what I'm saying? We are the truth tellers. Mark Cuban says Dallas Mavericks didn't cancel the national anthem and cites ongoing dialogue with community. So the backstory on this is dude came out and said that he was going to not have his players. Let's just read it. Got ESPN.com. Please don't copyright me. In the wake of the NBA statement Wednesday, reiterating its long-standing policy that all teams will play the national anthem, Dallas Mavericks owner Mark Cuban said during an appearance on ESPN's The Jump that his organization has no problem playing the anthem at all, and that the decision to not do so at this point, and the decision to not do so and that the decision to not do so to this point in the season was the product of ongoing conversations with members of the community who felt the tradition did not fully represent them. Cuban on Tuesday had told ESPN that he had made the decision to stop playing the national anthem before home games after consulting with the NBA Commissioner Adam Silver. The Mavericks did not announce the change in policy, but the national anthem had not been played before any of their 13 preseason and regular games at the American Airlines Center this season. We're always talking to our community. That's something that Mavericks CEO Cynthia Marshall stands for, and they put her name in parentheses. And is very inconsistent or very insistent upon and has become a core part of who we are at the Dallas Mavericks. Cuban told ESPN's Rachel Nichols on Wednesday. In listening to the community, there were quite a few people who voiced their concerns, really their fears that the national anthem did not fully represent them, that their voices were not being heard. So we've had a lot of conversations about whether or not we should play the anthem. And so during the first preseason, we decided not to play it and just see what the response was, knowing that we were going to have ongoing conversations about it. We didn't make any decision to never play the national anthem then. That wasn't the case at all. We didn't cancel the national anthem. We still had our flag flying proud up on the wall at the American Airlines Center, and everybody had the same opportunity to address it and pray to it or salute it or whatever their feelings are. All right, let me stop you right here. First of all, hi. Thanks for watching this video. We're gonna have this talk, and we're gonna have it. I'm not gonna mince words this time, so have a seat. You comfortable? Some food, maybe. Okay. America. The reason why so many people are missing the point on so many of these issues. Okay, so all right, first let's check this out. Let's do this. Let's go over to the US Census Bureau. All right? Population estimates. These are 2019. You know what I'm saying? Let's check this out. All right, so we've gone to the Census Bureau and we're on race and Hispanic origin. We're on race and Hispanic. Why does it say race and Hispanic? All right, here we go. So we're looking at a breakdown. All right, of the population in the United States. I believe this is 2019. You guys see these numbers? See them? We got Black or African American alone, 13.4%. American Indian, Alaska Native alone, 1.3%. Asian alone, 5.9%. White alone percent, 76.3%. Now, let me tell you what that means, in case you don't know. That means that if you're in America, you are having a white experience, whether you understand or not. Now, let me break that down. Anywhere there are more than half of a group of people, what they call privilege, white privilege, is really just your tribe of people who happen to look like you are the majority in this place. So that means that your experience is going to be a bit different. All right? The reason why these conversations are so hard to have is because people are not acknowledging their bias. Okay? It is not the same experience for everyone across the board in America. There are two Americas. All right? There is the America that I learned about in like elementary school, where it was like, all right, this is a place of land of opportunity and, truth, justice for all that stuff, all the things that were written down. There's that version. And we have to acknowledge that that was written by white people. And about a large part of the history that I learned in elementary school was about dead white men. Okay? In that version of history, America is this place that is a land of opportunity and that has equality for all. Here's the reality. While those men were drafting those papers, hey, settle down. While those men were drafting those papers, they were going home and many of them were abusing their slaves. Let me make that clear. All right? Or they were going out calling black people the N-word. While they were writing those things, it was normal. All right? I have to make that clear. This is a place where that mentality was passed down generation to generation to generation. A lot of, I've spoken to my grandfather. When I go back and speak to my grandfather, he can remember being told certain things that you should never say to a person, and it was based on the color of his skin. He can remember picking cotton. He can remember segregation. He can remember. There are two different Americas. I have to make this clear. There are two different Americas. Now let's get back to this Mark Cuban story. Not everyone, but still a large percentage of the country genuinely believes that people are kneeling during the national anthem because they hate the flag or they hate America. All right, now we're going to go to some shocking images in a minute, so I'm just warning you. I'm here to tell you once and for all, if you think that, you are incorrect and you are only seeing one of the Americas. In reality, for everyone else, this place has been, though it has been a land of opportunity, the racism has been crazy. And a lot of white people just don't know. No, I take that back. A lot of white people just don't care. Not all. We're not speaking about all. And we can debate over what white means. But because systemic racism was passed down at the dinner table many times, when your tribe is the majority in a place and racism is injected in and then passed down and normalized, you won't get it until you sit down and understand that there's two Americas. If there's a house, let's say this, if there's a house, right? And let's say it's owned by a certain group of people, and they see somebody walking outside and they grab them and drag them into the house and force them to do chores for generations and generations and generations and generations. The way they interact is going to be different. You see what I'm saying? Breakfast is going to be different in that household. It's going to be a different experience. When you sit down as a child of someone who thinks that kind of interaction is normal, you're going to be drinking your orange juice and chatting about the news and going on about your day. And across the table from you might be one of the children of the people who were kidnapped off the sidewalk. And they might be drinking close to the same orange juice at this point. But in their mind, they may be thinking, dear God, do you not understand how messed up it is that I have been kidnapped off the sidewalk and forced to do your chores? And yeah, you may have decided that it was mainly taboo, but do you understand the nuances that are still left while I'm still here? Do you understand the condensation? Is that a word? The right word? Do you understand the little things that happen throughout the day that are still messed up that you don't realize? Now, if you guys haven't followed, the house is America. It's a metaphor. Back to this flag thing, man. I do have to talk about this. Here's another thing that was normalized, all right? If things make you squeamish, look away. These are people who met together and at times would have picnics while lynching black men and women. All right? See that? That's a kid right there. This was normal, y'all. This was normal. People sat around at their tables. I'm going to switch off this. No, I'm going to leave it on there because people need to know. People sat around at their breakfast tables, or people threw picnics and went out in the woods and casually talked about politics, about being woke, about all these things while murdering black men and women. And that was normal here. Where do you think that mentality went after the Civil War and after some of these quote unquote progressive laws were passed? You think it just up and disappeared? Normalizing this kind of savagery, this kind of apathy to other people's suffering. Where do you think it went? You think it just disintegrated and went into the air? No. Great-great-grandmothers, great-great-grandfathers, Meemaw and Peepaw, they took that apathy back into the house with them. And they passed it down at the dinner table, y'all. So you won't get it. You won't see it until you understand that this used to be normal too. People who used to speak out about this, they'd say, oh my goodness, what? You're wrong. You're tripping. Are you crazy? It's the American way. Or something to the effect of that. This used to be normal, y'all. Get it in your head. There are two Americas. The flag was flying back then too. This is my point. The flag was flying back then too. How in the world can we view the national anthem or anything that is a quote unquote American staple as great or healthy when this was what was happening under the flag? How? And it hasn't just disappeared. This is my point. The reason people were kneeling was because everyone wanted to sing about the national flag or the national anthem and all this stuff while police were killing us, man. Crazy. Crazy, man. Still. And no one is acknowledging it. We say Black Lives Matter, and that doesn't mean I agree with the organization. Don't you know, I'm gonna tell this story. Don't you know I was I was standing somewhere and somebody walked up to me and said, Black Lives Matter, why don't you worry about your own? I was just standing there. Until you understand what is normalized in the House of America, you won't get it. And to some degree, you can't get it unless you understand what it's like to be a person of color. But specifically, man, my white brothers and sisters, if anyone Caucasian, we'll say Irish, European, French, Polish people were oppressed, but anyone who, when you look at them, you go, that's a white person. This isn't racist. This is trying to educate. And believe me, I got something for our people too later. But realize your bias. Check your bias. If you see someone of color saying something, check your bias. Check your bias. And things like this won't happen. Mark Cuban is now, you see, we just went on a wild tangent, but that brings us up to speed. If you're still confused, here you go, man. This is why, right here. If you're saying we should just get over it, look at the response anytime a black person tries to say, yo, it ain't all good here. Look at the response. Go to worldstarhiphop.com and go through the comments section. And look what is normalized. Look what people are saying about black people casually. Just take a look, man. I think Mark Cuban tried to bring those two. Whenever someone does this, I appreciate it because you're bringing those two Americas together. You're trying to bring those two Americas together. The fake one and the real one. That ain't all good. I think that what happened was there was one site that showed the backlash, but people started going crazy on social media. Twitter's the new voice, man. And it's mostly complaining, but there's a huge section of America. We can call them the MAGAites, but they're on the Dem side too. That mentality didn't disappear. They just raised children. And those children are out as adults walking through the world not seeing racism because it's been normalized in their household. Check your bias, man. Understand that flag, okay, we need to talk about this too. He said pray to it. Understand that flag ain't God, man. It's not God. There's supposed to be a separation of church and state. They've woven the flag into religious rhetoric. Let me reverse that. They've woven religious rhetoric into the flag. You know what I'm saying? But they used to make us stand up and say one nation under God every day in school. Pray to the flag, essentially. When there's supposed to be separation of church and state. How is that even possible? It doesn't even make sense. If it's separation of church and state, why do we say one nation under God, indivisible? And if it's Bible-based, why is it so hard for you to have empathy for people of color? Why are you outraged anytime someone says Black Lives Matter? Now, like I said, I don't agree with the organization, and let's not get too far off topic, but I don't agree with the people running the quote-unquote movement or Twitter page. To me, that's some witchcraft voodoo stuff. A lot of it is. And just new age weirdness. But my life matters. That shouldn't trigger you. If it does trigger you, check your bias. You might be a racist. I don't know how else to say it. Gave y'all a history lesson. You know what I'm saying? Showed y'all some census data. I don't believe that white people are the majority in the entire world. I don't believe so. I believe the majority is Asian. I believe it's specifically Chinese, but don't quote me on that. So my point is, understand that if you're in America, you're having a white experience, and you need to understand that it's not all like that. It's not all like that. It's not all good, man. The black experience in America, there's trauma there. They gave us crack. Look it up. Watch snowfall. You know what I'm saying? The flag was flying when the CIA was working with Reagan to distribute cocaine into urban neighborhoods, in the black neighborhoods. Let's not even act like urban don't mean black. That flag was flying too. That's why people ain't we can't. People say make America great. How, man? Let's try for the first time, but it it ain't been so great for people of color. It really ain't. So yeah, I just had to speak on that. We're at 20 minutes, so I might not even put this on my other channel. But yeah, man, understand this two Americas. And I came here ready to bash Mark Cuban, but I think he did understand that what he said. He said it ain't all good, essentially. It ain't all good, essentially. People saying they're not comfortable standing for the national anthem should not offend you more than black blood being spilled in the streets, or people of color, or the spy shootings that just happened. If people kneeling in front of the flag offends you more than that, check your bias. Where's your empathy for the people? If you're sitting here rolling your eyes and saying, man, I'm tired of hearing about it, guess what? I'm tired of it not being acknowledged. I'm tired of you saying you don't want to hear about it. Because if that's your response, when do you want to hear about it? Yeah, I don't feel like the national anthem represents me. I don't feel like that flag represents me. I'm here. I'm here because my people were kidnapped, taken from our home, and we just kind of had to thug it out, figure it out. And people is getting, I heard reparations is starting to show up. But people, oh my goodness, reparations, oh my goodness. Well, you weren't tripping when other communities were given reparations. Why does it trigger you so much when we express our discomfort with things that have historically happened in this country? If it does, check your bias. It ain't hard. And this is not a rant or a tirade against all white people, but we're in the 70s. If you're 70% of the country, check your bias, man. Because the way you see things, especially when there's something as horrible as slavery that's a shared historical experience, it might be biased, man. It really might. You grow up in a house and you're a descendant of someone who thinks kidnapping people from their homes is okay. What has been normalized for you might not be normal, G. And look, they gave a little bit to everybody. I'm going to talk about it on another video. They gave something to every community to hold them back. They gave something to every community to hold them back, I believe. You know what I'm saying? I think what they gave us is the hood mentality, the streets. You know, omerta, the code of silence. I had to deal with that too. I had to free my mind to that too. You know what I'm saying? But we talking about this because white people can make policy, man. White people are in positions in countries, many because of being able to profit off of slavery, and what they say is white privilege really is just there's 70% of y'all. So like you're gonna be able to move a little bit more comfy. You know what I'm saying? But and look, I know there's somewhere saying, man, I got white homies who are like, they've gone through more crazy experiences than some of my friends of color. But so this isn't a generalization, but y'all should know what I mean. Y'all should have a little bit of nuance when you come in here by now, or this ain't the place to come. Pause. So anyway, we not gonna over talk it. We at 24 minutes. I understand what Mark Cuban tried to do, but I think the reason why people aren't getting it is because you really have not sat down and looked in the mirror and checked your bias. You know what I'm saying? Now look, at the end of this video, here's my stance, man. Sports are not supposed to represent just one section of America. You know what I'm saying? Even if one could say people of color do dominate in some areas. Sports are supposed to be something that everyone can participate in. I think that there needs to be. I think the truth in many times is not gray or not black and white. It is gray. So I think that there needs to be a way to be inclusive to everyone in America, but it not dismissive. And I think that line needs to be found. I think that there's nothing wrong with playing the national anthem, but I think that you shouldn't become enraged if someone does not want to worship the flag, because the flag is not God, and it's not all good in America and hasn't been. And a lot of people are sore about it. You know what I'm saying? And apathy exists. You know what I'm saying? And white apathy exists. And if any of this offends you, you picked the wrong channel, buddy, because we're going to keep it real. Salute to my non-racist people of every community. Salute to people who show love in every community. Salute to people who try to show empathy in every community. But this was thank you for coming to my TED Talk on systemic racism and apathy. Check your bias, please God. It's not that hard to understand if you try. You know what I'm saying? And poor Mark Cuban is stuck in a position where he's trying to make people happy, and he's dealing with a league that it has that apathy. You know what I'm saying? He's dealing with a league that has that apathy, and they are taking a hit because they're not listening to people of color. But overall, I don't think they get it, man. I think salute for people trying to, you know, call attention to what they're trying to call attention to. But overall, as a country, I think that we all need to sit down and just be real with ourselves about what this place is, has been, allows, and what we hope it to be, not just for us, but for everybody. I'm going to shut up. You know what I'm saying? I'm almost at 30 minutes on this, and I don't have any visuals to freaking take away from the boringness of my voice. But yeah, that's how I feel about this Mark Cuban thing. You know what I mean? It's an animated discussion, which is certainly not surprising. This was Mark's decision. He was steadfast about it. He had his reasons, and I know he released a statement about it explaining his reasons. I also know moving forward, we will be playing the anthem at all home games, along with every other team in the league. It's been quite a day. Hope they figure it out, but I hope that someone walks away from this video checking their bias. Because these discussions really aren't that difficult to have if your eyes are open, man. Salute. We out.